Hey everyone, Corey here coming in to do the energy update. This is for the weekend of June the 6th. And today is um a bit of a crazy day. It's been pretty crazy. So this is for the weekend, but today's one of those days where it just feels like sometimes you just gotta just not listen to the head telling you all kinds of stories that it's trying to ignite the sparks of flames, of fires, of starting fights. Like it is there, it is alive. It started yesterday and it is continuing for a few days. And so it is that kind of brings up this sense of feels like it could be empowering, but it's not really empowering. Sorry, I had to pause to put my phone in silent because there's been every telemarketer in the world or every scammer calling my phone this week, and it's been nonstop. But here we go again. Let's try this again. And I really wanted to just say F off, but who you really speaking to? Why waste your energy? Okay. So back to this energy. It is the energy where it's like it may be where you feel like you want to start something. It's stirring up the pot. So there is the energy that is stirring up the pot. It is real, it is there, it is happening, it is moving about energy. And it's just like when something settles at the bottom. So I'm painting outside my house right now. So let's just use that as an example. So, when you buy a can of paint and they shake it and stir it all up for you and you get it home and it's great. Now, if you let it sit for a week, all the paint is gone to the bottom and the water or the oil is at the top. And then you have to stir it back up again to bring back the color so that you can actually use it as paint again. Well, that's kind of what this is like. And so when the pot is stirred, is that it brings something back to life. And so when we're bringing something back to life, we have to be also very aware of what we're bringing back to life or how we're bringing it back to life. If it is something of the past to be healed and resolved, first and foremost, you have to remember who you are today and not try to approach it from who you were at the time of its existence, at the time of when it transpired, when it happened within our lives, when we were existing in those moments of where the wound first appeared, where the hurt originally happened. And if we step back into there, it's like shooting our own self in the foot. Is that we become everything we're not. We stir up the pot and we get into a fight, we get into an argument, and that may not even be with anyone else, but with ourselves. And it's like everything of the past is active and it feels like it is alive in today. And it's not alive in today. The past is not here, but you're here. But it's like when we reactivate something, is that we bring it back, but filtering it through our, I guess, divine, our mature self, bringing it in from a mature place and recognizing that this is not happening right now, but this did happen. And so, first and foremost, is seeing our own hero, our survivor of our own stories, or just remembering that every person in your life right now that even looks like, resembles, or even some of the people of the past are not the same person. So, we have to approach things from who we are today with a maturity, with a sense of the mature self. And and so um and so you may find yourself, or you may have been finding yourself today over the weekend, kind of wanting to just stir the pot everywhere you go, wanting to be a bit of a shit disturber and kind of poking the bear or trying to gaslight or trying to just get people wondering and questioning. I was like, oh, what are they talking about? Or like leaving little breadcrumbs of these like coded messages that are like that kind of, it's kind of like passive aggressive, right? That passive aggressive energy. And it's like, be aware of that kind of energy, be aware of behaving that way, be aware of reactivating, and then also then reinventing who you once were respond to it or try to resolve it, because resolving it from who you once were, if you were like a teenager in the day and then all of a sudden you're the adult now, and if you reactivate the teenage energy, it becomes like this like group of, had to pause again. Now my doctor's office was calling about something I was already there for. And so there, if we don't want to approach it by reactivating that old self. That's what the energy is, right? It's like it's trying to resolve something, it's trying to bring things up. And sometimes it's when we can view it or review it from who we are today, from recognizing how powerful we really are, that we've made it through those times, or that we don't have to keep kind of living by what somebody else is, about their insecurities, about the insecurities that they're bringing in. So all of this energy is real. It is all around us. Beware of it. Be aware of how you're reacting, how you're responding. Be aware that, past energies, past experiences are coming up. There's things are being stirred up. The universe, the way everything's aligned in the planets, the way everything is happening is stirring something up. But we are also discovering something new. I'm not a professional astrologer, so I only know this by another astrologer. And I know this, and the way I know it through energy is that I kept seeing something that we couldn't explain. I didn't know what it was. It didn't make sense to me. And there was something there, but I didn't know what it was. But apparently we have a planet that has now entered into the solar system, and that it is orbiting the sun behind Pluto. So there's a new planet. So there's a new energy entering in, which is something that they have been predicting. So I think it was the Leo King that I actually read an article he had wrote about it. And it's really truly going to change things for us. It changes the energy. But what I was getting was the vortex. And it was like, let's talk about the vortex. And so that's what they were giving me. Let's talk about the vortex and how, the vortex is a place where all the positive forces all exist. And if we want to see changes in our lives, is that if we bring everything into the vortex of a positive thought, a positive change, is that we actually start to receive what it is we really are seeking and searching in our lives, and not more of everything that we don't want, more of everything we don't need. And so there is positive changes that are coming in, but it's like clearing up and clearing out. Is that we have to clear out the things that keep weighing us down, have to make peace with the thoughts that keep owning us. And if I didn't know this energy this morning, I probably would have been in a fight with my husband this morning. I was pissed off, and I was so pissed off, and not at anything in particular, but just pissed off. And it was so easy that I could have engaged in something. And what I was pissed off about was basically something so far back, and it didn't even make sense. But why was it coming in my wheelhouse? And it wasn't because I needed to throw it in his face. It was because I needed to clear it out. Because why did it still have space? Why does it still have space? So one of the teachings of More Than Existing is always, who would you be without a story? If your stories of the past wasn't the thing that kept motivating you, and if it wasn't the thing that kept motivating you, what would you be doing? Who would you be? And it's like, if your anger, if your hurts, if your open wounds are the things that keep motivating you, if it's the things that keep you kind of, I guess, poking at other people, or carrying resentments or carrying angers towards other people. Now, there's situations where some people just never deserve any sense of resolve, but you deserve resolve, right? Like, they don't deserve the forgiveness, but you deserve to forgive yourself. Big difference. I'm speaking about within ourselves. And so it's bringing awareness so that how we're motivated, what motivates you, how you move about, it all comes from the right place. If we do things from the right place with the right action, We do things from the right place with the right thoughts, right action takes place in our lives. And so it's not about manifestation, it's about right action. It's about right thoughts. And the more that we get in alignment with the right thoughts and the right thoughts, right actions take place. We are motivated by something that is more coming from a sense of the light and the love instead of some sort of anger, resentment, some sort of vendetta. You know, if you still see every one of your past that you made, let's just say, for example, you went to school with, and if you were the one that was kind of picked on by some of the people, or you've seen people as the class of above you, lower, then you may still be carrying that, still having that. It's like, oh, those people, and who do they think they are, and blah blah blah. And so this is dynamics that happen in youth. Now, for some people who never venture away from the stories, that dynamic stays. For other people, that is not even remotely a reality anymore. So why does it keep being the thing that becomes a reality that you bring in and just go, well, I know what them kind of people are like. Those kind of people. And they were like this, and they hurt me, and I'm going to prove them. And if you're still trying to prove to everyone else that you're enough, or trying to prove to everyone else, then you are doing yourself a disservice, and you are not serving your highest good. You are serving the ego's desire. And if it's the ego's desire that's motivating you, then it's taking you farther away from home, from yourself, than it ever has been. It's not taking you closer. It's not bringing you home. It is not doing service. And trust me, I had to heal all of this through more than existing. And through recognizing what it would take to more than exist. And so this energy and where we are is inviting us to really truly look at our lives and ask ourselves, where am I just existing? Where am I just existing in a story? Where am I just existing in thriving, feeling like I'm thriving, or that I'm getting some sort of thrill out of kind of throwing, you know, throwing daggers at other people? Like, pay attention, really pay attention. And it's influence. You're being influenced. You're being influenced by something out there. You're being influenced by like an instigator energy. It is not really you. It's the energy. Yes, it's also you, but it's stirring your pot, right? It's stirring you up. And if we use it as an opportunity to bring right change and right action in our lives, we really truly recognize that we approach it from a much more compassionate place. That's what I got. That's what I got for that piece of the energy. But there is some sense of elements of surprise. Now, in the week when I said, we're going to see this week, like breaking news, we're going to see something that becomes a breaking news, and it changes the narrative of the story again. Well, we kind of did. We've seen the fallout of two bros, right? We've seen the fallout of two people supporting each other on a political realm. We've seen the fallout. We've seen something that unfolded through a post that opened up a can of worms again. That's a stir in the pot. This is stirring stuff up. And so I'm not going to get involved because it's not about who's right, what's wrong. It's about recognizing that this energy came in and then this unfolded. And I said, we're going to see a breaking news, a flash that's then going to be a ripple effect, because every one of those moments in time becomes a ripple effect. They become a ripple effect of change, or they become change in habits or patterns or energy, or it becomes a repeat pattern. And if we keep repeating the pattern and we keep just going around in circles and just giving a different face to the same story, just replacing the characters, like soap operas, like soap operas when they replace one actor with another actor, but they play the same character. And one day you see one person, and next day it's a new character, but they're in the same storyline. It's kind of what it's like. It's like it's just going to change characters, but the same story is going to continue. And so it's when we break that habit, when we shift, when we get into the vortex, when we get into the vortex, when we get into like the divine, when we get into this beautiful energy, this space where positive influence happens, it's it means that we don't need to keep replacing a character, is that we end the story. The storyline ends, that everything changes. And so it is a time of change. It's a time of allowing ourselves to move into the life that we have been aligning ourselves to, or that the universe, our soul, has been trying to align us to, and allow ourselves to step into it with grace and to embrace it and to enjoy it. Like, enjoy the good moments. We're all going to have moments in our lives, but to embrace this moment of who we are today, how we got here, and how the past helped us get here. No matter what, our past helped us get here. And if you are in constant repeat, it is really time to look at the things that are being stirred up, the things that are coming back up for you. So we're in a time of great potential. And this weekend has a lot of weight. This weekend has a lot of weight and a lot of influence. And it can be very influential in a good way, and it can be very influential in a negative way if you keep going to the negative, if you keep going to a negative influence, a negative thought, a negative energy, if you keep going into the negative, you will always be in the negative. You can't get into the positive. You can't get into the positive and dip into the negative. And that doesn't mean that you got to be, unrealistically happy and joyful. That's not what it means. Is that the positive changes in the positive energy is one that just says, this is really here. Like, this thought is really here. This feeling is really here, but the experience is not here. And so in this time, I have the opportunity to really recognize what this is. What is this? Why is this? Why am I revisiting this? And to bring about a positive influence and change within our lives. Now, on the other side, on the other aspects of this, is that we are coming up. We're not there yet. We're coming up to a full moon. And this full moon is going to be a game changer. June is a game-changing month. All of June. Things are changing quickly, fast. You're really seeing that kind of influence of change. And so we're going to see everything change very quickly around us. Like, on the outside, there's a lot of changes that's happening, changes in patterns, changes in weathers. And this stirring up that I've been talking about, we're seeing it in the weather patterns. We're seeing it in earthquakes. We're seeing it in eruptions. Another big eruption, I'm like Yellowstone, like all the places of where there is heat boiling up in the bottom of this, in the underbelly, the underground of the earth, there is eruption energy. And so be careful not to get into an eruption, into an explosion that may not serve your highest good. You want to be careful of those explosions. Other times is when we find our voice, we find the voice of love. And I remember when I was writing More Than Existing, the first book, and I wrote that several times, and I'd write it out, and I'm like, they did this and they did that to me, and I did this, and I was the victim of the whole, like, I was writing it from a place of absolute anger. When I turned the narrative around, when finally I could see to the soul, when I could see something deeper, when I could really allow myself to use my gifts to look beyond the roles and who I thought people should be in the roles and how I thought the world should be and people should be, was that I could write a different story. And I wrote the book from love, from a place of love, from a place of love for myself and love for other people, a place of recognizing that we're all human. We're all spiritual beings having that human experience, but everyone is human, and that we don't know until we know. And sometimes those habits and those patterns are happening for centuries, happening through many generations, through friends, through family, because we don't know. And until we know, until we really get it, that's when things change. And so recognize the pattern, change the habit, and life changes and everything changes. And if we approach our speaking, our love, when we approach our life and communicating from a place of love, it doesn't mean that we walk up to everyone and go, oh, sweetie, come here, let me hug you. We sometimes will say, you know what? I don't have space for that no more. That just does not align anymore. And the more I keep trying to make it fit, or the more I keep wondering, what else I can do to make somebody else's life better, the more I'm making myself unhappy. So how do I it's time for me to look at what true sense of happiness means and what it means to truly step into that happiness. And so it's finding a voice of love, finding a space within us that brings light and love into our stories, into our situations, into the power of neutralizing our stories and neutralizing. And so there is, like I said, this weekend pull has a powerful influence and a powerful punch, but this whole month does. But it's what then do we let rise so that we can neutralize it, so we can resolve it, so that we can end it, so that it is now ended, it's now done. So any things you need to complete that you've put off, complete them this weekend. Anything that's been sitting there that you've just been not really, that you've been letting stew and brew for so long, approach it from who you are today. Don't approach it from who you were. Don't approach it from from your childlike energy, your teenage energy, the younger version of yourself. You have to approach it from the adult version of who you are today. And that's how we emotionally and spiritually evolve. We mature, we grow. And so this is a time of things are maturing, things are coming into a period of maturity. Now, we do have a big, powerful influence of goodness and greatness coming in. And it was here all week. It is going to continue as well now. And so, and it is a big influence that is kind of making us feel like some sort of happiness. And we may be so used to now being angry that we're resisting our happiness, that we're resisting allowing ourselves to be happy. We're looking for something to be mad about. We're looking for something to be disappointed about. We're looking for something to be angry about, because this kind of happiness, this kind of freedom to be happy, actually, we have not had in our energy, I want to say, since when we all kind of went into that lockdown energy. We have kind of been in a fight or flight, a survival mode, a go, go, go. We've been motivated by just go get them, just go take over the world. And so that energy of conquer the world, take over the world, that has been influencing us unconsciously or consciously for several years now. And now it's just like, and I keep saying this, and I said this in one of my readings, my energy updates a few months ago. And like, I remember like when the 80s came in, and the 80s was kind of like, whatever, I'm not going over here and being an activist to this and an activist to this. I'm just going to go have fun. And it's not that we stop supporting or standing up for, it's that we start to remember that we're also here for happiness. We're here to step into happiness. We're here to allow space for happiness in our lives. And so giving ourselves permission to be happy after years of being angry, jealous, envious, after being years of being afraid or having this sense of anger unresolved that has sit with us for so many years, it becomes foreign. So the foreign object, the foreign energy is actually like a happiness. And so there's this foreign, euphoric happiness that is trying to come in and step into our lives. Now, it's not coming, like I said, it's not just from that planet, but that's the new one coming into the party that we don't know how it's going to influence us. This is a happiness that is happening because planets have moved about, and planets have moved and made changes. And so I believe is this like Jupiter? I think this is Jupiter in Cancer. I talked about it earlier in the week, but I'm having a total mind blank right now. But there's this happiness. And so giving ourselves permission to be happy means that on the flip side of that, the ego's desire is trying to bring in the energy of, oh no, we got to get back to comfort. We got to get back to being afraid. We got to get back to fight or flight. We got to get back into the game. We got to get back in. And if we stop giving so much attention to the negativity of the world, then they don't have an audience. And when that shit don't have an audience, then that shit just kind of don't play the same way, because it's not the same performance when they don't have anyone to perform for. Maybe they'll get to work and make true change happen, but until then, it's not happening. So it's like, but for us on a personal level, it is telling us there's happiness here for us. Is there stuff happening? Is there earthquakes happening? Yes. Can we change some of those big things? What is in your power to change? How you approach your healing, how you approach life, how you approach your past, how you receive it, what you do with it, how you show up, who you are in the presence of your own life. And so one of the things that was coming up as I'm outside painting around I loved painting the doors of my house. That was easy peasy. I didn't have to do all the so much of the tedious work, just had to do several coats. But then the frame around my door with the half moon windows and the side windows, well, that was tedious work. And so I wanted it, and I was so excited about doing it. But when I realized that I actually had to tape it, and then I had to paint it a couple times, and I had to get the ladder out, and I had to climb up high, and I had to go all the way to the top, it became a project that got started, delayed. Then it was like this morning, I'm like, okay, you have to go approach that. And as I went out to start it, I started to hear these things about, like in my silence, about sputtering. Like I was sputtering. My little ego was like sputtering about my husband, about how he's gone back to work and I got to do all this work by myself and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, where is this coming from? That thought wasn't even there until I got doing something that I really wanted really bad, and I wanted done. But yet I was trying to rob myself of the happiness and the joy in the moment. I was trying to get back to a place of negative. I was trying to get back to a place that was motivating me by being frustrated and angry, and I'll get the work done. I'll get mad and the work will get done. I shouldn't have to, and it's the work, you lose the momentum, but you also lose the value of the things that you're doing that you appreciate by doing them from a place of being mad, from a place of being so pissed off. And so the moment I could recognize what was happening, clear the thought, get into the vortex of the positive and just go, oh my God, I'm going to be so happy when this is done. When this is done, I'm going to be able to look at it, and I'm going to be able to go down to the end of the driveway, and I'm going to look up, and now I have like this trim that's going to be like hot tamale pink, and it's looks red, but it's like hot tamale pink, and I'm going to see it. And so when it was all said and done, and I climbed the ladder a million times and faced my fears of the heights and got up there, I went down and I walked down through my yard, and I looked up in the yard, and I'm like, oh my God, I love this. This is exactly what I wanted. But why was I trying to ruin my moment? Why was I trying to ruin my experience? So be careful not to ruin your moments, your experiences, your dates, your time with family and friends this weekend. Try not to ruin things. Try not to bring in something that's kind of pisses people off or pisses yourself off, because it's not coming from your truest self. It's coming from the shadows. It's coming from the ego's desire to get you back to comfort, because we are changing gears in the energy, and we're moving beyond that which has been motivating us for the last several years. That's been kind of pushing us to be like warriors to anger and divide. And it's just kind of, it's losing momentum, and it's shifting, and it's changing, and happiness is here. There is a sense of joy in this happiness energy, and it feels like the happy person's coming to the party. And when everyone's complaining, and then that one person comes in and won't engage in the complaining and just goes, well, anyway, how was your day? And tell me something good. So when everyone's telling something bad, it's like the one person comes in and says, tell me something good. Tell me something good about your past. Tell me something good about your life. Tell me something good. I want to hear something good about you. And you're like, oh my God, yeah. So you got to be that to yourself every time a negative thought comes in this weekend. On the prediction side, of course, yes. This is not new, but I've been saying this all year, we are going to have a year that we are going to see a lot of quakes, a lot of high winds, a lot of eruptions, like a lot of things that are out of our control, but they are a part of Mother Earth. And they're happening, and they're happening because Earth is moving. We have to remember we're one of those balls out there in space. That's where you live, in one of those balls floating around out there in space. And so we're fed a lot of stories that come from a place of fear, that tell us that we need to fear, that we're the problem, that we are the problem. And we are not the problem. The places that are consuming, the places that are using up, goes much deeper than what we think it is. And you're going to start to see that truth come to light. How do you think these new technologies and these new AIs and these new big systems, what do you think they need to run off of? Something to think about. But we're going to start to see, almost as the ground breaks open, it's like not just breaking new ground, it's going to start exposing what is underground, what else is happening. And so same thing with us. It's going to start revealing it's going to start revealing more about ourselves than it is about other people. And if you don't have it resolved, if you don't do it, it's going to tell you more about you than it's going to tell you about other people, because it's just going to show our immaturity, or your immaturity. It's going to show your lack of growth, development, whatever it is. And it's just saying, okay, are you ready? Are you now ready? Let's do this. Let's get to this place, and let's get on the path towards a more matured state of being. And so it's bringing clarity, it's bringing a clearer path, clearer directions, and it's giving us the opportunity to be able to see what it was we're truly seeking, what it is we truly want, and how we want to really feel moving forward into our future, because that's the key. It's not about what it looks like, it's about how I feel in my future. How do I want my future to feel? How do I want to really feel when I wake up in the morning? How do I want to feel about my projects? How do I want to feel? Do I want to wake up going, I got here by stepping on everyone's head. I got here by making everyone else look bad. And that's how I got here. And do I want to live by that? Is that what you want to live by? Right. So it's like, really look at that, really look at how you're moving forward and where it's coming from. Or do I want to say, I recognize all of this, and I've seen great potential in other people, and I just started to really remember that I too have that potential. I started to remember that the universe is unlimited, and that there's space for all of us. There's a place for everyone, and we all belong, and we all deserve happiness, and we all deserve abundance, and we all deserve to heal, and we all deserve to be resolve these pains, these hurts within ourselves. And it's more than enough. And there's more than enough for one, there's more than enough for all, and that there's a more than enough happiness, and that happiness is not a limited quality, and it can't only be for some people and not for you. And so happiness is available. And so happiness kind of seems to be a bit of the theme on the back end of this. So using the happiness to motivate you. So take the end of this reading, bring it to the front, and then put it to the front, so that it's in the forefront of your thoughts every time there's something that's trying to take you farther away from your happiness, from your positive energy. It's like, really, is this really going to take me closer to happiness, or is this really taking me just deeper into misery? Is this just taking me to the comforts of my pain, to the comforts of my complaining? Where's this taking me? And is that really the place I really want to exist? And where do I want to exist? That's what I have for you. Have a beautiful weekend, and I will be chatting with you soon. Much love.